This week, we're going to talk a little bit about a topic that I feel like I'm kind of obsessed with, in the fact that like I'm just like drawn to it. I'm always like, when I hear people talk about it, I always want to learn about it. Honestly, before we got on, I was scrolling back through my Instagram feed because I was trying to find this one quote I shared one time. And then I was reading all these other quotes I've shared, and I was like, oh, that'd be good for the call tonight. Oh, that'd be good. Oh, that would be good. I'm like, apparently this is like what I like to learn about. But honestly, I feel like it's just one of those areas that I've had to learn a lot of lessons around. And I feel like people do in general. Like, if you read my article in the Leadership magazine, I talked a lot about my process in doTERRA of going from a person that didn't dream because I didn't think I could. Like, I didn't have time or money to be able to do the things that I really wanted to do. So it was really scary to actually say the dreams that I had, because I didn't ever think they'd actually be possible. And so I stopped dreaming. Like, I don't know if everybody remembers this, but like for me in college, I felt like it was like this world of like limitless possibility of like, you can do anything you want. And then real life hits and everybody talks about that. And then you have your job and all these things. And this is actually the quote that I was looking for. It says, people wait all week for Friday. They wait all year for the summer. And they wait all their life for happiness. And who is like you, like I read that the first time and I was like, oh, I do I'm like, oh, I can't wait till Friday. Like back when I worked my old job. And I do like get this feeling of like, oh, I just can't wait for summer. And then you read that last one and you're like, oh my gosh, like that really is the way I'm living my life. Like, how did I get to this place? And so today's call, we're going to talk about really just life ownership. And in that, we're going to talk about taking ownership of your doTERRA business, because I think all of you guys on here are drawn to doTERRA for probably a reason around this whole topic. Like, there's something in your life that you want, and you see how doTERRA could be the vehicle to get you there. Yeah, I'm sure you guys all have whys around wanting other people to see the power of the oils and doTERRA and learn about natural health and stuff like that. Like, we all have those whys that are deep within us. But I know that you guys all have other things that mean a lot to you, and you see how doTERRA could be the vehicle to make things a reality for your family. So I just want to make it like super practical and talk about this conversation, because I feel like it's it's just the real deal. So we're going to start with just some things on life ownership, and then we're going to transition into practicals of like how to take action, and also some practical tools that are really helpful in your business. So one thing I wanted to share, just to be ultra transparent, I have had multiple people tell me that they think I work all the time. Like, they're like, I just don't think I can do doTERRA. I don't think I can do it. You work so much. Like, you're always working. You're always doing doTERRA. You're working so hard. That's literally what I've had people tell me before. And first of all, it's not true. But in some senses, I know I've worked the hardest that I've ever worked in doTERRA. Like, I've worked really hard, and I've done a lot of things that I think people don't want to do, because I saw what I could have through doTERRA. So it's not true, but it is true. I'm like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. You guys understand that. But what I was going to explain with that is there another quote I wanted to share. They laugh because I'm different, and I laugh because they're all the same. So like, people look at me and they think, dang, that girl's crazy. She's working all the time. She works so hard. I can never do what she wants to do. But I'm doing it because I know the power of residual income, and I know how it can change my family's life. It's already started changing my family's life. Like, I don't know anybody outside of doTERRA that's doing what I have done with our life. And I don't say that in a prideful way, but like, I don't know anybody that's had a husband diagnosed with Graves that got to bring her husband home to like have a stress-free life and have all the memories that my son gets to have with his dad at home. And I get to have so many memories with him too, but like, it's just really, really changed our life. And so I saw that. I saw how doTERRA and the residual income could completely change our life. And so I was willing to be different. I was willing to go after my business and work really hard in the evenings after my son went to bed, when most people just want to chill out and do their own thing for themselves. I was willing to do it through the nap times and like basically every moment he was sleeping. I was willing to do it then because I knew what it would bring in exchange. So it's like a double-sided truth of there's two sides to it. It's like, yeah, I do work really hard and I do things a lot of people don't want to do. But I also have taken ownership over like taking care of myself. And I have learned through my journey these checkpoints of like, oh, Kristen, you're not taking care of yourself. Or, oh, Kristen, you're not prioritizing your business, as in you're not prioritizing sharing oils yourself and inviting yourself. And when those things happen, like when those things come up, I know that it is it's not okay. Things need to stop. Things need to change in my schedule. Something's going on. And so I'm going to explain that a little bit. I would encourage you all to have, this is like part of ownership. So we're just going to talk about like life specifically. All of us have specific things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. And when we're not doing them, life is really stressful. It doesn't feel right. It feels wrong, like all those sorts of things. And so it is really, really important to set those things up in your life and make sure that you're owning them for you. Because the reality is the way you guys do, like taking care of yourself and taking care of the primary, most important things in your life is going to look different for all of you guys. So that means like some of you on the call maybe don't want to be doTERRA Diamond or don't want to be Presidential Diamond someday. Maybe you just want to pay for your oils. Who knows? And if that's true, then the way you do it is going to look different, and you just like rock that with confidence because that's you like living your fullness of you. But if you want to be a doTERRA Diamond, like don't be afraid to just say it and own it and like go after it. You know what I mean? Like just like own it. Like this is my dream and I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to go after it. So within that, your dreams are going to be different, but then also the way you own your own self-care is going to look different because everybody fills their cup differently. So for me, there have been different times in my journey with doTERRA where I've stopped working out every day. In fact, I've stopped working out. Sometimes I'll miss a whole week. That has happened before. And for me, that's like a big red flag. Like not for everybody on the call, no. Everybody's different, but like I was an athlete all through high school. I was an athlete in college. Like for me, like working out is my sanity. It makes me feel more confident. I like am addicted to the happy hormones you get when you work out. Like I feel better about myself when I'm doing that for myself. And there has been seasons where I have lost that. And not felt good about it. And I just like would carry that. So for me, that's a red flag. I mentioned the other one. Like part of it is like for your family, right? Like I would say even after Diamond Club, I had really lost touch with my meal planning, making intentional meals for my family. And maybe that's even prepping a ton on Sunday, like I did this week, and then making a bunch of meals that were ready for the week. I had just like lost touch with that. And that's not okay for what I want to do. And there will be a time that I'm going to pay somebody else to help me prep those darn meals because I just don't love it. Let's be real. But that time hasn't come yet for us. And so I need to own it in the most efficient way that's true to me and take care of my family in that way. And it was crazy because, guys, I started meal prepping and I made 2 meals and my hubby was like, what did he say? I think food should be a love language. That's what he's telling me. He's like, I know it's kind of acts of service. Anyways, it's funny because I just got intentional about it again and he loves it. And I'm like, this is one of my red flags. Like I need to always be prepping meals for my family and be intentional in this way. So the other area that we're going to talk about in primary ownership is for your own business. And this is really important, guys. It's really important. And I just like want everybody on our team to understand this concept. There is no point where you get into doTERRA and you're suddenly like, oh, good. I don't really have to do anything anymore. Like I'm just going to kind of coast and not do anything. Like that has never happened for me. And like, yeah, I mean, in some ways it's shifted. I'm not saying you're always going to be working crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm just saying, like, for me, I will always enroll. Like, I will always be reaching out to new people and sharing oils because, and I'll be honest, like, there are diamonds and above that don't share oils anymore. And I think they lose touch with their team and they get stuck, like they really do. And so that's number one, it's part of my gifting, and that's part of the reason I'll always do it. And maybe that doesn't mean I'll enroll like 12 a month like I did multiple times throughout last year, but I, like, even the last 2 months I've enrolled between 2 and 4. And I share that just to share that, like, for me, personal ownership in my business is like, I'm not going to sit back and just rely on all my leaders to enroll people and share oils, because for me, part of the journey is understanding how powerful oils are. And every time I share with somebody, I relive it and I'm reminded of how much oils change people's lives, guys. Like, people just, like, they don't know what they don't have. Like, I went to that yoga weekend, and last night I enrolled a girl, like, again, not magical. I enrolled her with a $35 enrollment in Deep Blue Rub because she has Young Living oils and doesn't know how to use them and needs more support. And she loved the Deep Blue Rub that I gave her. And like, that all came about. And like, through that process, I was reminded, holy buckets, nobody else is educating like our team is. Nobody is. And this is why I love so much, like, what our team does. And if I wouldn't have enrolled her, like, if I would have, like, just went into that weekend to learn about yoga just for me and not sure to doTERRA, I would have missed out on that reminder to myself of how powerful education is and what it can mean to somebody's life. So, anyways, that's just like another area of personal ownership for me. If I, like, maybe for people that are not elite yet, you maybe don't understand this point, but I promise you, just take note, because there will come a time when you start getting builders, there's always this temptation to be like, I'm just going to support my builders and I'm going to help my builders enroll people. No. Like, if you ever catch yourself saying that, stop it. Because it's not okay. Like, you'll lose touch and you'll forget why doTERRA is so powerful and why it changes lives. So I'd love to hear, I know that I have some of my silvers pluses on here, like, just share, like, I don't know, I mean, all of you guys are enrolling. I'm like, maybe share a lesson that you learn every time you share oils, or I don't know. I know all of you are enrolling. I just want everybody else to see that, like, all of the silvers pluses on our team are enrolling consistently. In fact, some of them are like top enrollers consistently for our team. When I look at who are the top enrollers for the year, all of our silver pluses are on the top list because they're just doing it consistently. And when you're modeling it, like, you're modeling how to do the doTERRA business by enrolling, other people will see how awesome it is to do that, and they'll, like, be inspired to do the same thing. If you're not enrolling, your builders aren't going to want to do it because it's going to seem scary, because clearly you've stopped for some reason. So anyways, those are just two specific areas where I wanted to talk about ownership. And then the other thing that I think is just fun when we're talking about life ownership is, I talked about how, like, you guys all have some sort of a draw, something that's drawn you to doTERRA, something like you have a dream somewhere that you think could happen because of doTERRA. And so I encourage you, we've talked about this before, but really, like, write those down, put those on a vision board, think about them. Maybe it's something as simple as what Dana Moore said, like, I just want to have a house cleaner. Like, that's my dream. And if that's your dream, awesome. Just take time to think through, like, what would it actually take for you to have that dream come true? So this is where we're talking about ownership. So ownership isn't just saying, like, this is my dream and that's it, just saying it. Ownership is taking it from, like, verbalizing it to suddenly, like, okay, to have a house cleaner, let's research how much are house cleaners in this area? Like, where would I hire one from? How much does it cost? Talk to your spouse or whoever you do finances with and be like, okay, how much money would we have to be earning to pay for an additional house cleaner? And then you think through, okay, how many enrollments do I have to have? How much fast start do I have to be getting? What rank do I have to be at to earn enough to make that happen? And then you put your energy towards that. Instead of what happens easily in our life in general is most of us are used to living like typical Americans where we go through life, we go to college and we're like deciding what we want to do for a profession. And then suddenly we get a job and we have a boss that's telling us what to do every single day. So this is a huge transition when you become your own boss in doTERRA, and you are deciding what you do every day. So when it comes to your dreams, when it comes to the income producing activities, like that ownership has to come within you. So really, like, this is something I'd encourage you to write down and post somewhere, because I feel like this is so good. You can't lead others until you learn to lead yourself. So this comes to, like, you can't lead somebody else to prioritize self-care in their life until you've actually done it yourself. You also can't lead somebody in doing the doTERRA business if you haven't led yourself in doing income producing activities to build your own business. So there's so many levels of like ownership and leadership that happen in doTERRA. And I promise you guys, like, the person that I was when I started doTERRA is so different than who I am now. And I'm still on such a journey with this, but I'm just like, if anything from Dare to Elite, if you guys take this principle in 1 or 2 or 3 areas of your life and you just like hone in and you're like every single week checking in, okay, when am I doing the stuff that I need to do to take care of myself this week? When am I doing my income producing activities for doTERRA so I can go after my dream? If you take hold of that one thing, it will shift everything. It just will. So a couple other creative ideas that I had for you guys is right now, like it's easy to talk about dreams and a vision board and think about like, when I have this, it will be so great. So like, for instance, like when I'm diamond, my life is going to be so great. I'll be honest, I did that before. And it's great. And like, I really like diamond is amazing. I love it. But I will say that it's not like this like light switch flipped and then suddenly like I have all this happiness just because I'm diamond, because there's always going to be the next thing. Like now there's blue and then there's prez and like it's always the next thing. So in your life right now, how can you take ownership over something that does not bring you happiness? Maybe that is really dreading Mondays, because Monday is the day that your husband goes back to work and you're back to the grind with the kids and you are trying to do the business at the same time. And if that's the case, then what can you do to change that? What thing can you do on Mondays that's going to bring you so much joy and it's going to make you love being a mom on Mondays with your kids just by yourself and doing your business at the same time? I'm trying to think of another example. Just like any of those areas where you really dread something, like even when we're talking miracle mornings, we've talked on calls in the past about like having a morning routine. And one of the suggestions they talk about in the actual Miracle Morning for Network Marketers book is they talk about how like oftentimes it's really hard for people to get up early enough to do their miracle morning. And they talk about some proactive ways that you can get intentional about with your mornings if you're wanting to get up earlier. And one of the things they talk about is like, say you don't want to get out of bed in the morning because it's just cold. Like you don't want to get out of bed because you don't want to step outside your covers because it's cold. Well, they talk about like having your slippers right there and having like warm clothes on so you step out and you're not cold. Like being proactive about that, and it's taking ownership. Or like they talk about if you are super tired and you struggle to get out of bed, make sure you line up something in the morning, and what you're doing with your morning routine is so good and you love it so much that it makes you want to get out of bed. Like, what would that be? Like, what would make you want to get out of bed? And I'll be honest, I'm still working on this one. So I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions, because sometimes it's just hard for me to get out of bed as early as I want to for my miracle morning. Yeah, in all this, like while you're sitting there taking notes, whatever, I would encourage you to write down some things that you don't like about life right now, and how can you take ownership in those specific things to create more happiness on a regular basis in your life right now, like not your life down the road. And I remember during my journey hearing so many people say, like, if you want to be doTERRA Diamond, you have to learn how to act as a doTERRA Diamond now. Like you have to learn to start living like them now. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, just getting creative again around that idea and taking ownership to act as if, and know that like so much of the best part of doTERRA is in the journey. Like you're going to learn so many beautiful things. I know I've had a lot of conversations with Londa specifically about this. We've talked about how like doTERRA and the journey, it's like so much more than just this business and just this income. It's like the journey that like reveals these things that you have to break through. And it's so good. Like it kind of sucks while you're trying to break through for these things, but once you've broken through, it's so, so good. One other thing that, okay. So I have to share some of the other good quotes that I found on my Instagram. Know that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. So even at doTERRA Diamond, I don't have a boss. My husband doesn't have a boss, but I can still let somebody else prioritize my life. I can still wake up in the morning and check my email and check my Voxer and check my texts and check my Facebook messages, and everybody else can own my life and own my happiness, and I will do everything they say and I'll never be happy. And so ownership is such like a key principle in life in general, but like also our doTERRA businesses. Okay, so these are just like not necessarily on ownership, but still so good. A year from now, you'll wish you started today. That's like so true, right? And I was like, it's so true. Like if I like I just like look back a year from now, like or a year ago, I mean, and I'm like, if I wouldn't have done what I did, I'm like, where would we be? It's insane. I'm just like, oh. And again, there's a reason you're on the call tonight. There's a reason you want it. So you just got to go after it. Like, just be like, I'm going after, I'm taking ownership of my life and of my business for the next year, and wait and see what happens. Next one, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So I know there's times that I for sure needed to hear that. But again, like the importance of like mindset and personal development and believing in ourselves, having those affirmations. And guys, like it's crazy because it's not like you get to diamond, these things just stop. Like I have had more like mindset things like since the Dominican trip. Well, it's gotten better now because I've been really intentional about it. But I struggled coming back from the Dominican. I was around all these diamonds and above, and I'm like, these people are so amazing. There's nothing special about me. That's what I was telling myself. And then I had to write an article for the Leadership magazine again. It's like a diamond article this time. And they ask you, like, what makes you special? What makes your team special? And I was like, I'm not special. What's special about me? And I'm like, Kristen. And I actually like believed it enough to say it aloud to a friend. And she's like, no, there's stuff that makes you special. There's a reason you're doTERRA Diamond. So anyways, like, I'm just telling you, like this is part of the journey, is just learning to take ownership over our mindset, learning to believe in ourselves, learning to speak truth over ourselves every day. And in that, there's such a greater gift. Like it's so much more than your doTERRA business. And then, yeah, that's all I was going to share on that. So one other like warning sign that I'll give you is specifically in your doTERRA business. If you ever catch yourself saying something like, I wish they would just do something like this on the LDC. I wish my upline would just do this. I wish my builder would just do this. These are all like common phrases of not ownership, of like putting a responsibility on somebody else to build your business and do it for you. And I just like, I will warn you that in that space, number one, it's yucky and it creates not thriving relationships on your team, but also it does not maximize the income potential of what doTERRA is. That's the second piece. And number three, you'll never fully get into your zone of genius if you say those things to yourself. Because if you're waiting for somebody else to do it, or you're waiting for it to happen such and such a place, then it's like this like slippery slope of not fully believing in yourself and how you can be a creative solution for that problem. And all that to say, like, I'm totally open to suggestions on the LDC, and I'm always wanting to support in the most applicable way. I think you guys know that, but I just like, I had to remind myself of that multiple times when I was like, I wish Callie would do this. I had to remind myself, like, how can I do that for my team? And she's not doing that, but that's okay. Like, it's helping me. Like I've said to people multiple times, one of the biggest gifts that Callie has given me is she's given me the gift of believing in myself and that I could do it. Because there were so many things I got creative around because Callie wasn't doing leadership Zooms like this on on Zoom. So I had to learn how to do it. And the cool thing is, as you step more and more into your zone of genius, like, you're going to like partner with your upline in amazing ways and create magic. That's just how it works. So now we're going to switch and transition into some practical things. So in the beginning of your doTERRA business, it's really important, and even throughout your journey, to like always constantly be redirecting yourself towards income producing activities. And we've talked about this a lot on the call, and you may have not realized it, but income producing activities, like defined, is basically living out PIPES, the acronym. So prepare, as in preparing a class, preparing a business overview, preparing for a membership overview, all the preparing. The key is you can't stay stuck there, because sometimes we waste too much time trying to be over prepared, but prepare is for sure part of PIPES. You just don't want to stay stuck there. Second, invite. 3, present. E, enroll. And lastly, support. So prepare, invite, present, enroll, support. And those are the things that you're going to come back to over and over and over and over in your business. And you just keep going on this cycle of preparing, inviting, presenting, enrolling, supporting. And it looks a little bit different as you evolve and you have more builders and all those sorts of things, because suddenly then you're supporting builders and not just customers. But it's all around those same activities. So if you are somebody that struggles right now, like I remember I feel like everybody goes through a season like this, but maybe, no, it's not true. Not everybody does, but you just struggle for time, and you're like, I've heard people say all the time, I don't have time for my doTERRA business. There's 2 keys to that. Number 1, taking ownership. If you really want to do your doTERRA business, you're going to make time. You just will. And if you don't want to do your doTERRA business, you're not going to make time. And so I've learned this lesson the hard way with builders, because a lot of times they'll say they want to build, but their actions don't line up. Part of that is me teaching them how to do it effectively. And then the second piece is, if they aren't taking action, like, I'm not going to force it. Like, they may say they want to do it, but that doesn't mean they really want to do it. If they did, they would take ownership of that area. And then the second part of this is, if you are really trying to be time efficient, the key is really to take the time you have and take ownership over it, and really focus on how are you going to focus on income producing activities? And it's so funny, guys. Tyler, we have friends over right now, so you can't tell him I told you. He is the sweetest husband ever. And since he's been home from his job, he's really excited about this whole doTERRA thing. And so we're having classes online, and he's like, has his whole like 100 names list, and he's got it all written out. And he like spent a lot of time on this names list. This was not just like Tyler's like, right, like analytical processing it all, but it's a big old names list. It's like 130 or 150 people. And he keeps saying he wants to have classes to invite to. So we've been having about 1 a month, and it's so funny, guys, because this morning he had work time and he was going to invite to his class, and he came back and he told me all the things he did. And guess what he did not do? He didn't invite anybody. You know why? Because it requires a lot of ownership, and it's a little scary, and you have to put yourself out there. And granted, this afternoon he invited like 9 people. I was super proud of him. But it's just funny. Like, we as human, it will always be a struggle for everybody. But I promise you, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Because I was like, in 20 minutes, I invited like 15 people. And he was like, how did you get out that many invites? How are you that fast? He was like mad because his 9 invites took him at least an hour in the afternoon or something like that. So anyways, my promise to you is, as you flex this muscle, as you take ownership and you remind yourself on your vision board what you want through your doTERRA business, it's going to be easier to step into that. And if you have it scheduled, if you have your doTERRA's time scheduled and you tell yourself in advance what you're doing during that time, it will happen. It just will. Because you remind yourself of where you're going and you have it scheduled. Like, so for instance, last night, I usually do this. I'll be like, okay, I have a billion things to do. What are the top 3 things I have to do tomorrow? And I write them down on my calendar. So today I had to prep for Dare to Elite. I had to invite, and then there was something else I did. And it took up the majority of my time, and I'm spacing on it. Anyways, there was one other thing that I had to do. And those are like my top 3 things. And then beside that, whatever else I get done is great. But it takes like that practice over and over again of flexing that muscle of how can I be super focused and super intentional with my doTERRA time. And I promise you, if you have it on your calendar, as like for me, every Tuesday is when I do my connecting with people that are not in my network. So reaching out to people, building relationships, talking to newbies about doTERRA. Like if I have that on my schedule every week, it will happen. Like it just becomes this muscle and this routine in my life. But if you don't have that, it's so easy for life to go by and it's been 3 weeks and you've spent no time doing anything for doTERRA and you haven't enrolled anybody for the month then, it's just so easy for that to happen. Okay. Sorry guys, practicals. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I wanted to show you all something super, super practical. This is an area of ownership. This is called the Rank Planner. And if you go to doTERRA.com, you can see right up here if you want the link actually. doTERRA.com, it's a brochure and it's for Premier and Silver ranks, which Premier and Silver ranks are when you start to earn leadership bonus checks. So if you don't know what a leadership check is, it's basically when you hit the rank of Premier, if you enroll one person for the month, you're automatically going to get a check paid out to you the following month that's about $190. Then when you get to the rank of Silver, that bonus check, anyways, it goes on from there. But like my leadership bonus check for Diamond is big, like really big deal. So that's where you want to be super intentional to focus on how you can grow your rank. And you also want to be intentional around Power of 3. So these 2 forms are something that you should fill out every single month so you can take ownership of going after that bonus for yourself. So something that's really, really powerful is if you fill this out, you fill this worksheet out, and you've like come up with creative ideas on how to have classes and how to have one-on-ones, and then you go to your upline and you show them and you guys can start partnering in on stuff and really develop that strategy that goes along with it. It can be super, super powerful. Sorry, Gretchen, I scroll it down. Can you see it now? Can you guys all see the link? It's on doTERRA's website, but I found it by Googling, so I'm sure it's under our advocates, and then it's somewhere under the Empowered Success stuff that they have. So anyways, if you're going for the rank of Premier, you can see where this purple is highlighted right here. To hit the rank of Premier, you have to have a total volume of 5,000 in organizational volume. You have to place a 100 PV order, like always. And then you have to have 2 legs or 2 business builders, 2 wellness advocates that hit the rank of executive. And executive is 2,000 in volume. So you can see here, right here, they just have like it set up for you. So literally what you do is at the beginning of the month, like on the 1st preferably, or even on the 31st, you could do this. You go in and you type in, so for me at the very beginning, it was Melissa Christopher and Londa Flory. And I wanted them both to hit the rank of executive, for me to hit the rank of Premier. So it's this top one here. Then right here, it's, reviewed rank planner. The rank planner is something separate. We'll talk about that at a different time. But right here, you know that you need the volume of 2,000, and then it has you do this, write all the current scheduled LRP volume. So what you have to do, I'm just going to take a pause and stop sharing this so you don't get distracted by the stuff on there. But sorry. Okay. So when you go to your graphical tree, you can hover over the people's names on your tree, and you can see when their next scheduled LRP is set to process, and you can see what the volume of that order is scheduled to be. So what you do is you go through and you add up all the LRPs that are set to process, and then you would enter that into the rank planner. So if you've added up all of the LRPs that are scheduled to process, for me it would be under Melissa, and I need it to be 2,000. Say it was set to be 1,500 that was set to process. I would take 2,000 in total minus 1,500. So that means I need 500 in volume to happen under Melissa Christopher in order for us to get her to the rank of executive. And then I would divide that volume. So I divide 500 by the average class volume. And so this has to be personalized to you, but they said the goal is 1,000. So basically their goal is to have a class and get 1,000 in volume off of the class. If you typically don't have that, say you normally have a class and you have like 2 Home Essentials kits that are sold, then you could take that volume and you divide it. So that's going to tell you how many people you need to enroll under Melissa's leg. So basically we would need 3, say we have 2 Home Essentials kit and a Family Essentials kit. So we need 3 people to enroll on Melissa's team. So then it says needed classes or needed one-on-one. So then it tells me, okay, I need to make sure that I'm having classes to help Melissa build her volume. So I'm inviting to the classes, Melissa's inviting the classes, we're doing them together, and we're getting that number of volume needed to be on her team to help her to grow to the rank of executive. So then you do the same thing over here on this other side, and then you literally write down the classes that you're having or the one-on-ones that you're having. So let's take a pause, and everybody be real. Did that make sense for everybody? Did I do an okay job explaining it? If you have any questions, shoot, go for it. Gretchen's got it. That's great. Okay. If you don't get it, we'll have space at the end for questions too. So the second part of this is obviously power of 3. So this gives you the ability to plan out the month and try to be strategic and intentional about the power of 3. So you write in here your name and what your volume is going to be for your LRP. And then you can go ahead and write in the people, like who are the people on your front line that typically order about 100 PV. And then it has TV here, which I should have looked at this beforehand, but I'm pretty sure that stands for, yeah, T in volume. Yeah. Okay. So with TV, if you didn't know it, to get your power of 3, you have to have 3 people under you that place an order of 100 PV. And then you have to have a total team volume of 600. So team volume is your order plus anyone's order on your front line, no matter if it's LRP or standard order or anything else. You just add it all together. And if it equals 600, then you've completed the requirements for your power of 3. And this details out how you can do it for your 250 bonus. So you have to help your leaders to get their $50 bonus, and then your 1,500 as well. So basically this is just like an easy way to be really intentional about these 2 bonuses. And to be honest, for me, like being like for my frontline leaders, I love it when they come to me and they say, I really want to be intentional about getting my 250 or my $1,500 bonus. I filled in my rank planner what do you think I can do to be more intentional about it? Are there any things that you think I should be strategic with certain people? Because I usually know their organizations and we can work together to try to help them to get the bonus. So anyways, I'm just telling you that because if this is something that you're taking seriously and you're going to fill out these rank planners at the end of each month or right at the beginning of a month and you bring them to your upline and you want to have a strategic conversation about them, I think that's awesome. That's where we can like help each other to work towards our goals, right? So that's one practical thing that I wanted to talk about. And then the second practical thing I wanted to talk about is something fun that we're going to do this week on the Dare to Elite page. So we're going to do something called a going for the no challenge. Basically, that means this week in the Dare to Elite page, we're going to do a like big kickoff challenge. And each day, if you are reaching out to people to meet up with them about oils for one-on-ones or to share a sample with them or for them to host a class or for, I'm trying to think of what else, to meet up for a business consult or anything like that, it's a texting blitz. Yes, Ashley, this is going to be an exaggerated text blitz. So I'll be posting more information tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. And then you'll have like obviously tomorrow it will start and then we'll do Thursday and Friday as well. And I'm going to do giveaways on each day. And so in order to enter in the giveaways, you have to share your totals, like share your totals of responses back that were yeses and then share your responses back that were no. And honestly, if you want, you can take a no response as a no. Because I'll be honest, those are the majority of the no's that I get. If I get no's, they're just no responses. People, at least my age, they don't like to say no. So they just don't respond. So anyways, we'll be giving away free oils from those daily challenges. And basically, I want to help support you guys in this action because I told you, like, even though we know that we want to take ownership of our business, like we want to go after it, sometimes it's scary. And so sometimes I feel like a prize is just a fun way to motivate us to do things. And so I want to give you guys free stuff, which obviously isn't necessary. There's a big enough gift in the fact that you're building residual income for your family and you're going to get the fast start when you enroll them and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to help support you guys as you go after that. And I know some people like competition. So the more yeses and the more no's you get, the more you're going to get entered for prizes. So it's definitely a competition in that way. So as far as scheduling goes for the next 3 days, you can just take ownership over your schedule. If you don't want to do any doTERRA stuff on Thursday, then you don't schedule any time to do text blitzing on Thursday. But if you want to really hardcore go after your business and you want to do income producing activities every day, then you schedule time to do some texting every single day, even if that's just for 15 minutes to a half an hour. It does not have to be long. It doesn't have to be long. Yes, I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing else I was going to go over. The only other thing that I'll say is there are still prizes to be given out for the last month of Dare to Elite. So if you're one of those people, make sure you're in contact with your sponsor about that, and we'll make sure we're getting those out to you. And then second, get excited because next week we're going to have, as a special treat, one of my friends on our call, and her name is Lisa Purcell. She's from Omaha, Nebraska, and she's a Strength Finders coach. So if you've taken the Strength Finders test, make sure to bring your top 5 strengths along because we're going to be talking through more details about Strength Finders. And then the last week of the month, which would also be technically our last time for Dare to Elite, Tyler is going to be giving you all some specific stuff to work through around Strength Finders, because really at leadership, that's going to be part of our training is working through Strength Finder stuff and learning just more about ourselves and what we're really good at, so we can hone in on that in our businesses. So he's going to give you some stuff that you can work through at 9 p.m. that night if you want to stay true to that specific time you have planned in your schedule. And then we'll really that's the end of Dare to Elite, which is crazy. This has flown by. And if you're wondering what comes after that, we still have I'm refining this, but in the past, we've always had 2 team calls a month that are similar, like training calls like this. We bring in other speakers, stuff like that. It's just not a competition like Dare to Elite was. And I'm debating, we might be having just one moving forward, because I know I have a lot of my leaders are looking for time with their people too, and I don't want you guys just on calls all the time, because that's not fun. But anyways, I'll keep you posted on that. But just know that like it's not like Dare to Elite ends and then we're just done talking about doTERRA together on Zooms, because I feel like it's so important to know that we're in this together. Ashley asked, is there a power to Premier too? Oh, empower to Premier. Oh, funny. Yeah, we should have one of those. We should. Power to Premier, empower to Elite. Got it. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Apparently. That's good. I love it. Well, we'll pretend like the LDC tribe time calls are your power to Premier for sure. You're going to hit it so soon. I'm so excited. Yeah. So does anybody have any calls that you want to hop, or questions that you want to jump on and ask? Or any success stories? I feel like on the lives, I'm always sharing like my success stories over sharing oils, but I really think it would be super fun if any of you guys want to jump on and share like about a positive experience, sharing a sample or sharing doTERRA with somebody new. Does anybody have one they want to share? Celestia Timmer, I'm like, you're enrolling like crazy. Ashley Rieger, you're enrolling like crazy. I feel like you guys have to have some fun stories to share with us. No?
Okay, I'll share just a little bit.
Yay.
So I was like super nervous to like share oils at work. And so the BOGOs hit and I was, just talking to my coworkers about oils. And we were gonna like do this official class and Londa was gonna be there to teach it and we were gonna go to like someone's house and do it. But all the girls were like, let's just do it after school in our sped room. And I'm like, I've never taught a class by myself before. Like, this is crazy. And so I kind of just like taught the class, and one person ended up enrolling that night. And then the next week during BOGO week, I got like 5 more enrollments. And now they're super excited about their oils and they want to share it with like all their friends and their family. And so we're already talking about like make and take classes and like how we can go from there. And
That's awesome.
it's been really exciting. I'm kind of like taking over the whole elementary school. I'm hoping to have all the teachers on board.
That's awesome, Ashley.
Yeah.
And they gonna have like a healthier school for all those kids. All those moms are
Yes,
gonna be so thankful
exactly.
that their teachers are diffusing. That's amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I
Yeah.
love that. It
Yeah, and
sounds
even
like
the
so
kids, I had like a
energizing.
bottle of Purify by the diffuser, and one of our sped kids, he'll just come in the room and he'll just open the bottle and he'll just like smell it and then he'll walk away. Like he just won't.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
So
so
yeah.
good. Thanks for sharing. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like so fun too, because it's probably so energizing for you. It's like this reminder, like people like want to know, like they want to know about
Yeah.
oils and they're excited to know.
Yeah. And then this one lady, like this is just the Lord's goodness. She was a volunteer at the elementary school that I was working at, because she was like driving a student down to be at a different school in Brookings. And so she was volunteering in our sped room, and we were just like talking, and she was telling me about her son and how he has like really bad anxiety. Like he'll call her when she's not home, wondering when she's going to get home and if she's okay. And he just has all this fear and anxiety. And so I recommended Balance to her and I gave her a sample. And she told me the next day that for the first time in weeks, he slept through the entire night.
No.
And so I felt like God like put that person in my
Mhm.
path for the reason of doTERRA. And so now her son is sleeping every night, and he's not as anxious as he normally was. And so I don't know. doTERRA is just amazing. And I don't know
Yes.
how anyone would not want oils.
That's so awesome, Ashley. I
Yeah.
feel like it was like in that moment you like had this choice, like, I have a solution. Am I gonna like step into like the uncomfortable zone and just share it with her? Or am I
Right.
not?
Yeah.
And you did it. And like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I
And I
love
was like,
that.
I can't lose momentum. Like, how do I keep it going? I have to keep it going.
I think you like totally like all these stories, like for me, it's so powerful to collect those stories and like remind myself. Like I
Yeah.
like another time I might reach out with the solution and they might not want it, but that's okay because it's totally worth it for the times that it does. Like and the
Yeah.
times that they do want it and then it changes their lives. Like, ugh, so good. So good. Thanks for sharing, Ashley.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Celestia, I actually think you should share because yours were online. Like, I think we're all curious, like, trying to learn how to do it online. And I feel like I've started to do more stuff online than before, but I'm like, I'm sure you were just reaching out to people, but like, how did you bring it up? Like, I think it's harder online because you have to, like, you don't get the same trust. They can't see your body language, like, all that kind of stuff. Like, how did you ask them if they wanted to meet with you one on one?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know if my volume works. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them were my family.
That's
Because
awesome.
we're way out in the boonies, like seriously out here far. And I don't leave the house much. We go grocery shopping once a month. We do our major shopping. I think so. How it started with my first enrollment was she contacted me, and because I'm always putting something online about doTERRA, about oils or what I'm using, what I do for my grandkids. The monkey's climbing on me.
That's so cute.
So she texted me and asked me what she could use for, oh gosh, I don't remember, something. And she was like, how do I do this? How do I get started? How do I diffuse? That's what it was. How
Uh,
do I diffuse? What oils am I supposed to diffuse for this and that? And an immune booster for her grandchild. And I'm like, oh, I got this. I can do this.
yes.
So I sent her an immune booster roller
Mhm.
and told her about it. And she's like, just sign me up. Before I could get it in the mail, she texted me back and she's like, let's sign up. I want the diffuser and I want this and this and that. And I'm like, all right. And then her daughter, so I was talking to her daughter first. Her daughter was like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Well, then her mom texts me and joins. And then her daughter the next day joins. She's like,
Wow.
I want this and I want more different oils than my mom because we share everything. And I'm like, shoot. So she enrolled with the $250 one, the Home Essentials.
Nice.
Oh yeah, she's super happy and she's already placed like 1 or 2 orders, I think.
Awesome.
But that's how I did it. And then I contacted my sister that I had just met and she enrolled. And then my neighbor is always buying oils from me every month. She's buying $80 to $100 worth of oils from me. And I'm just like, why don't we just sign you up? Let's sign you up during BOGO week. You can get one of everything. And she's like, okay. she was gone and she's like, do it. Get me signed up. Let's do it.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. Mine's just, it's online. I talk to my friends. And
So
I
when
don't
you
feel like I
let's
know a lot.
let's say like somebody didn't reach out to you first, like they've probably maybe seen your post or whatever, but like you're just reaching out to them to see if they're interested. What would you say to them?
Oh God, I suck at writing text too. Obviously, I forget my spaces. I forget my periods. I don't put in, because I hate being on my phone. I'm not, I'm like, how can I do this quick and easy? So I talk about, I'll send a text out and tell them, how I'm doing. And then I'll tell them that like my grandchildren were just sick, and I'll talk about how we didn't go to the doctor and we used oils for this and that. And that's how I usually get my responses back, is
Yeah.
by talking about my life and how I'm using it in my life, and I mingle that in my conversation, not so sneakily either. It's just
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, doTERRA. He's fine. I don't know. That's
Awesome.
what I've been doing. I'm not.
That's
This is
great.
the
It
first
doesn't
time.
have to be fancy, right? It just doesn't have
It
to.
doesn't. I don't
Yeah.
think it needs to be. I'm not fancy at all. I'm a country girl, and I don't know. I find I've been putting recipes online too. I've been making things, and my friends see that.
Yeah.
Or I'll send my friend a recipe, and she'll be like, "How do I get these oils?" Well, here you go.
Yeah. So a lot of these people, have you been talking with them, like just catching up with them about life in general, and then you just happen to tell them about doTERRA in the conversation? Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Good. Cool. Dawn, do you have any recent great stories you want to share? No? I have something crazy. So I told you guys I took all the Deep Blue to that yoga training. And one of the ladies there, I gave her like the Deep Blue sample packet, right? And she had been apparently like during the class all day, like we were like working out, but you always had to like watch the demo person up here. And she was like in a position where she was like having to like crank her neck like the whole day pretty much. And so at the end of the day, like I just saw her like over here, like doing this like number, like, right. We see people do that. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, here, you can take this, like use it. Like it will help for your like tightness and stuff. This is Deep Blue. It's an essential oil. It's natural. You'll love it. And then like, that was it. Like I just like went and gave it to her. Cause I had to lead something right after that. Anyway, so she used it and I followed up with her, and she like literally she was expecting to have like this crick in her neck the next day and all that kind of stuff, and it was completely back to normal. This is the one that just enrolled with the Deep Blue oil, so it's fun. Oh, that's so good, Gretchen. Yes. Oh, I love it. Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on today live, guys. And thanks for like all that you've committed to yourself and to your doTERRA business. Again, like I've said this before on other calls, but like when you're showing up for these calls, that's just like one step on your journey of ownership. Like you're owning that you have more to learn, and that you're on this journey with other people, and you're just like taking it and diving in on these calls. And I love that. So thanks for joining, guys. Have a good night.